Today's video is about using workspaces within business rules. The best way to understand workspaces is through an example. Almost all teaching is better by example. Just to get us started, I will tell you that workspaces are well named. When you're writing a business rule, suppose you want to do some math or save a value for a future purpose within a business rule, or even to pass between business rules. You want to get something out of one line and then post to another line, or you want to get a value and do mathematical processes with it and then assign it to a place in a ledger entry. Those are all about workspaces. We have a pile of workspaces that are available. The help menu says 5, but I have seen the numbers in some of our business rules using 7 or 8, so there's something that I am missing as far as the number of workspaces you can have. So let's just get started. If you're writing business rules that are using more than 1 or 2 or 3 workspaces, then you're so far ahead of me or these videos that you probably ought to be the one making the videos instead of me. Let's get started with the example of workspaces that we have in our version 6 rules, and to show you how they would work. The business rules that we're looking at here will be automating the cash receipts process. So let me first get started by showing you the event profile connected to the business rules, and here it is. All this has been labeled by the creator of the business rules, so anything goes almost here. You want to make sure you name your event codes in a way that you know which ones are yours and which ones are outside of core, so you can make sure you migrate them if you ever reinstall the software. Here are the details of that event. If the function code is equal to ledger entry and if the journal type is equal to CRA, that's the event that is firing off these business rules that we are looking at now. So let's look at the first one. So we're working in the CRA journal type. If analysis 7, that's who, is set to mandatory, is required, yes, and if the description is equal to the word name. If description, this is the description in the journal entry, the description of the journal entry has the word name, which would be the journal preset, just brought over, or the word space. So those two right there would be saying if the accountant has not changed the journal yet, then set the description equal to description. I'm not exactly sure why we're doing that, but the part that we are looking at is that we set whatever is in ledger analysis 7, that would be the who, put that in a place called general workspace 7. That is, store it up, hold it, set it aside. In that stored condition, you can do calculations with it, you can append to it. So in the course of our video now, we are going to look at doing calculations with workspace 7 or appending to it. But right now, all we've done is take whatever is in ledger analysis 7 and store it in workspace 7. So right now within this journal entry, that workspace 7 is holding ledger analysis 7. And so now we go to the next business rule set. It says if account code is equal to S, that is, it's a student's account, set the account code equal to workspace 7. So it doesn't sound like much, but what this has done is brought the analysis code from the first set, the first line of the entry, okay, remember the first line of the entry, bringing that over and putting it into the account code so they don't have to retype that account code. Okay, so this is taking the account code and set it to workspace 7, and it's setting the ledger analysis 7 to be 10. Not exactly sure why it's doing all of that, but the point we're focusing on is the passing values from one business rule to another using workspace. Here we can see ledger analysis 7 is being stored up in the general workspace 7, and then in this business rule it takes it out of general workspace 7 and puts it in the account code. So the account code is automatically populated. I think that's pretty cool. To illustrate the set and the calculate command, let's just try a simple little illustration here. And I've cleared out all the details of these business rules down here just so we have a clean place place to do the illustration. So I'm going to create a new row, and it says set workspace, a lot of clicking of O going on. Workspace 9, I've just grabbed one, 9, and I go OK. Value, function data hierarchy, journal line details, the amount, base amount there. So now workspace 9 is equaling the base amount. And then we come down here and we go OK. Since this is an action, we mark that with an X. OK. And then we'll create a new command here, and we'll take calculate. This is mostly just for illustration purposes. Calculate, and we take workspace 9 times, and we'll go 1.20 to mark it up. So now workspace 9 is the base amount marked up by 1.20. Now at this point, we can pass that value in workspace 9 to other business rules, other processes. That workspace 9 is hanging in there. That's very powerful, but you want to be careful as well, because workspace 9 has that value. So later on in some other business rule, you want to be careful what you're picking up, that you're not picking up a value that has lingered from other business rules that you're not aware of. It would do the action command. But in our case here, why don't we set the memo amount? So we go OK, and then I'm going to create another action command that is going to take the set. Okay, you're going to see what I'm going to do in a minute. And I take the memo amount, just rooting down until I get to this. It takes a long time to get all this stuff. So I've got the memo amount, and that is equal to workspace 9. If you're logical and you're tightly organized, you probably say, well, couldn't you have just taken set memo account to base amount times 1.2? Yes, I could have, but then I would have lost my illustration of using workspaces. So you could have bypassed the use of workspace, I believe, in accomplishing this same deal, but I think this is a nice little illustration of using calculate in workspace. So we've seen two things to do with a workspace: is we can just set a value in workspace and hold it for a future, or we can actually do mathematics with a workspace to come up with a new value, and then we can also take the value in a workspace and add it to another field in our function, in our ledger entry, for example. Okay, I have a sort of a contrived illustration to show you the action command append. It's not incredibly valuable, but for completeness sake, let's look at it. For my illustration, I'm going to set, and I'm going to take another workspace. Now, one of the things that I did not emphasize earlier that's important is that workspaces have different natures. So here are 20 workspaces that will hold an amount that math can be done to, and then there are a stack of workspaces, I guess there's 20, that will hold words, alphanumeric values that I don't believe work very well with math. And then you have date workspaces and period workspaces. You're trying to calculate a period that is a function of another period, or even make up a way that the period is automatically being added or something, or the date is being changed. The illustration in the help menu is for works date. You take the entry date and add 30 days to it and get a due date. Those are all just things for you to explore, but what we want is to take just any general workspace, because we're working with alphanumeric in my example now. We've got workspace 1 is equal to marked up value. I'm just contriving an example here, so don't get too worked up about what I'm doing here. That's an action command, so we give it an X. And so now we have workspace 9 has the marked up value of the base amount, and general workspace 1 has the term marked up value in it. We create a new row, and we want to append, and in this case I want to append, and so we've got general workspace 1, and we want to append it with the value in 9, and there's 9. This is mostly just to show you the concept. So it's going to take workspace 9 and add it to the end of workspace 1, and then to continue a little bit here with another action command, and we create a new row, and then we'll go set, and just to keep the illustration sort of going, description equal to General Workspace 1. Now, I've done this sort of rapidly, and so it's mostly to give you the concept. The spirit of what this rule is doing is to take the base amount stored in workspace 9, mathematically operating on amount workspace 9, then taking the term marked up value and putting it in workspace 1, and then adding the workspace 9 to workspace 1 and putting that in the description. This is sort of a contrived example, mostly to show you the concepts of set a workspace, calculate a workspace, and append a workspace, and then taking a workspace and setting it into another value. And the important thing to remember here is that workspaces can be passed from events, they can be passed between business rules, and so the values can stay in there for quite a long time, somewhat make our work easier. So that is workspaces, and I apologize if I've stumbled around a little bit with it. It's a wonderful concept, and I hope I've given you enough introductory material on it that you can sort of hammer out the details to come up with some business rules of your own. Now, we have one additional video that is slightly complex, and that is rule data set. So we have rule sets and we have rule data sets. Now, that adds a huge amount of value to your skill set. Rule data sets greatly simplify your business rules. So you want to make sure that if you're really serious about learning business rules, that you learn about rule data sets. And so that's our next video, so stay tuned for that.